Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a returning episode of the 13th Dimension. And tonight, as my first guest slash guinea pig, as I once was for her, is Maryam Faresh. Welcome, Maryam.
Hi,
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm happy to be guinea pig.
And you don't have to worry about doing any controls tonight.
I know, this is nice. If I fall asleep, don't be offended. I will be so relaxed. I'll just be like, this is nice.
Yeah, whereas some of the issues that you were having last night on the show.
Oh my gosh. Well, StreamYard works when StreamYard, I don't know if it's my computer or if it with StreamYard, like I'm not able to see the dashboard all the time. And then when I start moving around the guests, it blocks me out. It's a whole thing. But anyway, usually Greg's in charge, so I don't have to deal with
it. Well, turns out you weren't the only one having issues last night. Yeah, I was having issues on my own show, Supernatural Talk, some major issues. And then after we were done with Myth or Mystery last night, I was setting up the studio for next week's show. And I couldn't even connect to the network page.
Oh, really?
And there were several people having that issue until finally late this morning, that went away and everybody was able to connect again.
Oh, well, good. I don't feel so bad then.
Yeah, it's been a weird week.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think after they did that whole thing with the groups and making it to where StreamYard can no longer stream to groups, some of the gremlins started piggybacking onto other aspects of StreamYard.
So that's still the case, huh? You can't stream to groups anymore?
Nope. And why they did that, I have no idea. And it is a very useful tool, especially for me, because when we have our team meetings, I stream our meetings to the private group page.
Yeah.
And now we can't do that anymore.
That's weird. Yeah.
Thank you, Joanne. So Maryam.
That's me.
That is you.
I'm looking at the comments too.
Yep, we got Amanda and Joanne joining us. We actually have several viewers who are not commenting. So for those of you that are watching, please say hello. Welcome my guest. Make her feel at home. So Maryam, you are a psychic medium?
I am.
So how did you get your start in that? When did you start discovering that you can do things or see things?
So my mother noticed it in me first. She noticed that I was saying things or seeing things I shouldn't be seeing or shouldn't know, that type of thing. I was, learning a little differently in school, getting information, like getting answers to questions correctly, but not working out the problems. And so there was just some signs. And when my mom started to encourage it in me, it just kept growing. And as we all have these skill sets, right? Some of us, experience them and then they're repressed. Some of us have someone who brings them out in us. And so it's really just a matter of having the support, as my mother was, to allow those skill sets to grow and then eventually utilize them in a more, I guess you could call it, professional aspect later in life.
Okay. I'm trying to get this thing shared out while you're
Amanda's saying my dog looks like hers. Oh, you can see that's Oliver.
Yep.
Your dog has the same spots as him. That's funny.
Yeah, I've noticed him sleeping back there when we first came on, and he hasn't moved an inch.
That's good because if he does, he'll bark. So we'll leave that. Hopefully, that'll do that.
So, so when your mother noticed it, how old were you?
Well, she's watching. She should be watching. She should tell me. It was young. Like I honestly, I don't remember not being this way. So it had to have been once I was old enough to start speaking and saying things that were a little unusual.
Okay. Um, so so when this was all happening for you, did it scare you or anything, or concern, or did it just seem like, oh, this must be something everybody does?
Yeah, it was just the way it was. Yeah, I assumed everyone was that way. I didn't see it ever as anything different or unusual. And I still don't because everybody has all these skill sets. It's just, oh, here, there's my mom. You were 3 or 4 and would say things you couldn't have known. There you go, 3 or 4.
Oh wow, that's that's real young, and really that's at an age where I would like to think that you don't even know what fear is.
Exactly, right? And so when you have someone like I was lucky enough to have someone like my mother who encouraged it and supported it and never made any of it feel strange or weird or different or scary, then you just go on living your life with it.
So that's different because more times than not, it's the opposite of that.
Mm.
So
Meaning
you
people
got
are scared of it.
no more. They feel like they have to suppress it, and their
Mm.
family say you don't want other people. You don't want
Correct.
people thinking that you do this, and they're going to look at you like you're some oddball. So,
Mhm.
so you were very lucky to have somebody support you in that.
Yes, I'm fully aware of that, and I attribute any level of success or sanity to my mother. And because she has heard stories that I'm sure that poor woman, I mean, I honestly, I swear it was this skill set was probably harder on her than ever was on me because she would hear me say things that and still to this day like I still tell her stories that are like and like she gets it, but she also is uh, allows her intuition to lead her so that when I am telling stories, it's not like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with her? She's crazy. There's a sense of intuition that she also carries and can feel what I'm sharing with her and can feel the truth to it on a deeper level. And that's what I try to teach for everybody, right? That
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher of spirituality and the paranormal, that it's not about the logistics of it. It's about what does this feel like to you? Are you feeling this in your gut? Are you feeling this in a way that goes beyond logic? And if you are, boom, now we're aligning and we're communicating in a much different way, in a more intuitive way that we all should be ultimately communicating. But I think that's what's kept her from really thinking I was crazy in a very real sense. It was because she intuitively could tell that what was happening was real and to support it. And she would bring me to other psychics to learn from and uh, just to also have someone to relate to just see that there were other people out in the world that were like this. And even though when I was younger, I would go to these psychics and just ask them like stupid teenage questions, right? Like, when I'm gonna have another boyfriend, and why is my girlfriend mad? Like I would ask, my poor mom probably wasted a lot of money on stuff like that. But it put me in a position of just being in front of people that were like me. So yeah, I'm not saying I never didn't feel different because I've always felt different, but different. It was never bad. It was never a bad thing.
Well, that's good because honestly, that's rare.
Hmm.
that is very rare. I have heard so many stories where they look like they're crackpots, they're
Hmm.
crackheads. And this is one of the very few times where I hear the story where it was actually nourished from
Hmm.
such a young age. And
Yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
well, I was going to say it. You had already answered a question that I was going to ask, if your mother had the gift as well, and not just typical mother's intuition.
Hmm. I think for me, I don't. It's not that I don't like to, but I try to not refer to it as a gift. I refer to it more as a skill set because it's a skill set everybody has, and so my mom chose to utilize her version. Like everyone has a version of the psychic skill set, right? Some people see, feel, hear. Some people, astral travel. Everyone has a version of the skill set, and she always leaned into hers, which is why I think, she always herself never fit in with her conservative family. She grew up in a conservative family in Illinois. I know Chicago, but I'm pretty sure it was Illinois. She'll correct me. And so she moved out to San Francisco and just felt more, San Francisco is, we all know what San Francisco is, right? It's more open. And she was more comfortable there. That's where she felt like she belonged. And so she was already experiencing her skill sets on a certain level and then was able to assist me with mine. But I know she's reminding me in the comments, she said in fourth grade, the school psychologist's head nearly exploded when she tested. Yeah, that I was in a lot of special needs classes. I was in a lot of the classes for like learning disabled and such because they didn't know what to do with me because I didn't learn like other kids, but yet I would get answers. I would somehow come up with the answers. And so, in that respect, I was always isolated and considered different. But again, because my mom really just did such a good job at nurturing me and building my confidence, you know, I, it was it was fine. I mean, my father's weirded out by me and by what I do for sure. But I don't know, I could always kind of laugh at that. It was never he knew to just, in my dad's defense, he knew to just leave it alone and not push back against it or fight against it. Now maybe he did with my mom where he'd have say stuff to my mom, but he really never did in front of me.
But it would be a lot easier to do that to somebody closer to your age, whereas trying to do that to somebody much younger.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because at that point, it would almost seem like if he were to try that, you might take that, or even your mother might have taken that as him trying to bully you.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean the truth is it just comes from fear, it's not anything my father was familiar with and that's scary. But at a very young age I also knew that those people that were scared of, because it's not like I haven't come across people that are scared of what I do and in a result maybe won't befriend me or will push up against me. I've come across that a lot, of course, but not to be morbid, but I always know that in the end, when these people are coming to they're meeting their demise, meaning they're in a situation where maybe they're dying or they're sick, I'm the first person they call because I'm what they would associate closest to the other side. And so all of a sudden, they want my help, which I am more than happy to give and support and love them for that. Uh, and so I always knew at a young age that my job would be to help people when it was their time and they needed the help, and maybe not a moment before that.
Sometimes that's how it is, and once they come to grasp their own mortality, yeah, it maybe it's time to start opening up, and
Hmm. It's a scary time.
it is. Um, and I can speak from experience because I was literally on death's door a couple years ago myself, and it's not a pleasant position to be in.
What was that like for you?
It was very scary. Um, for the very first time in my life, I was actually scared that I wasn't going to see the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, and it wasn't like that. I was in a position to be able to try to seek out, like, say your help or anything like that. That was going to happen because I was in the hospital, and they had to do emergency surgery. And when they put me in, I had no idea if I was going to wake up after that.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was that when you woke up? What was that like for you?
When I woke up, it was more please tell me everything was just a dream.
Mm.
That everything that I had experienced in those last few hours, please let that be just a dream. Um, Obviously, it wasn't. Um, but it was a very surreal experience knowing that you were this close.
Mm. But was there a sense of relief that you woke up and you were still there,
Oh yeah,
here?
yeah, absolutely. I still had shit to do. My running joke had been, "I'm too busy to die." That was my joke.
Well, I
Uh,
guess you were right.
yeah, and I had no idea how much of a literal truth that would actually be. After
Mhm.
that,
How
uh,
did things change for you after that?
everything. It was actually because of that accident that made me really look at everything that was in my life and reshift my
Mm-hmm.
priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually led me to wanting to pursue my dreams of being a published author.
Mm. That's amazing.
It really is. And
Mm-hmm.
people are like, that should have never happened to you, and all of that. But here's the sad truth. If that did not happen to me, I would still be over there working a dead end job and still being extremely miserable. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm actually working towards something that I want for myself.
Mm-hmm. It's huge, and that's absolutely. And I think that there's two points to that. One is we don't have to have painful, dramatic, traumatic experiences to reshift us, right? But some of us do. And also, I hold on, I just lost what I was going to say towards that. You'd mentioned 2 points. One was the what did you just reference? You said
I,
that
I talked about, I said that if I did not have such a traumatic experience, I would still be living a miserable life and working at a dead end job.
yeah, that'll have to come back to me. But I think that sometimes when you were told like that accident never should have happened, I think that
Mhm.
the truth is everything is in alignment, and even the most painful experiences are supposed to happen. I think when we understand that we're 50-50 co-creators with God, spirit, or whomever you refer to, you realize that your 50% is about being as conscious as possible every day of your life and making conscious choices and being aware and awake. And then whatever happens after that was supposed to happen, and so when we are living a more conscious life, we can accept when something painful and tragic happens to us, when really it's happening through us for us to learn from. And even though that can sound very trite to say, oh, it's a learning experience, the truth is when you genuinely understand how everything is in alignment and how you align with that alignment, there isn't a why me, there is a okay, so where do I go from here? And
And that's
so
basically what I did.
that's great.
Yeah,
That's huge.
it's basically what I did. And there were a lot of people that were saying that they're surprised that I'm not more angry or bitter.
Mm.
And my response to that is, what good would that do me?
Mm-hmm. It would do you a lot of harm ultimately, because that sits in the body, right, and causes more pain and suffering.
Yep.
And why would you be bitter and angry when you're happier now than you were before?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, if you wanted to, you could pick apart the incident and you could say this, that. But something happened to you for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And if the end result is better than you could have ever anticipated, then why do we hold, right? Because forgiveness is the only way we can give ourselves to the next moment. That's what forgiving is giving yourself to the next moment. When you don't forgive, then you're holding that moment, right? And that's what most people do. And for you, you had to, on some level, forgive the players in that experience so that you could give yourself to the next moment and realize this moment is better than the moments I was in prior. So why would I ever almost slap the hand that feeds me? You know, if it's God you believe in, God just handed you something, and God handed you a gift and you knew how to open the gift, right? You aren't just letting the gift sit there in front of you and not do anything. You're actually like, okay, a gift was handed to me. Let me open it. And wow, look where I'm at. I'm happy. Doesn't get much better than that.
Not really, no. And it took me 10 months before I actually started doing the writing. But during that 10 months, I had to really get myself straight.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I thought, I'm home all the time now. I need to get this house in order. So that was the first thing I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I had been living in this house for 5 or 6 years, and there was still a lot of boxes I never opened up.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I did every day from like 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. is I went through every room in this house.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And 10 months is not a long time. That is not a long time. It can take people a lot longer to figure their stuff out. And I think too, the power of moving the energy around in our home is so important. You know, it's so important that we aren't cluttered, that we aren't holding on to things that we don't actively use, and that we're aware of everything in our home, you know? And so spring cleaning should be happening multiple times throughout the year, and especially in moments like that is the most intuitive response you could have had to that experience was, I need to clean house, literally, figuratively, emotionally, spiritually, right? You couldn't have done that any better.
No, and if it wasn't for the accident, this house would still be a mess.
And that house represents a part of you, right?
Yeah, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I bought it, it was in very bad shape, and I had it completely renovated.
That's awesome. But the house is an extension of you. And if that house is in disarray, then we are in disarray.
Yep.
And I'm not saying if you're going through construction, then you're in disarray. But I'm saying if you're ignoring boxes in your home, if you're ignoring what's going on in your home, that's a direct reflection of what's going on inside you.
Sticks Boy is with us tonight.
Oh, cool. Hey.
Is that Chuck?
You're asking me to remember a name?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the name straight.
I think it. Yes. Well, tell us, Sticks Boy. Are you? Is it Chuck? But there's a couple of them that I don't remember. I know your little name, but I don't know your actual name. Yes, it's Chuck. Hi, Chuck.
No.
He's.
Yeah. It really is amazing what some things would do, and also for other things. Like for the first time, I was able to get something of a touch for what you do. There was a lot of people that were doing prayers and thoughts and all of that stuff, and I never really put any stock into it until I could literally feel energy coming my way. I could feel it. And
that was happening. That happened after the accident.
that was happening while I was in the hospital.
And you never experienced that before in your life?
No, I always thought, well, thoughts and prayers, yeah, you know, I didn't believe in that stuff. And then it was like, okay, I'm there. I can feel something washing over me.
Wow.
And I know there was a lot of people, they were wishing me good luck and all of that, well wishes, prayers, all of that. It it was almost like you're walking through like a waterfall like veil. Hey, your dog moved.
Yes, they did. But back to you for a moment. So, have you? I want to ask a question that ties into what you just said. Have you always been a believer of the paranormal or curious about the paranormal?
That didn't start until I was 27.
Okay, so
I
that
never knew it existed.
okay, but that was there, and yet and still, you still didn't believe in the energy of thoughts and prayers, right?
Right.
So this is one of the things that, and I know this sounds silly, but it's true. I want to accomplish in my lifetime is I want the paranormal community and the spiritual community to start to realize that these are not two separate experiences, that they are one of the same. People in the paranormal community, not everyone, but I tend to come across more often than not those that are just like what you said. There's a believing in the paranormal, but not in thoughts and prayers. And then people in the spiritual community believe in thoughts. I'm using thoughts and prayers like as a general statement, okay? Energy, right? They don't either don't believe in the paranormal or see it as negative or dark or bad. And so it's all the same thing. I almost want to say this, bear with me. I'm just saying it as an example. You can't believe in the paranormal and not believe in thoughts and prayers. That's not possible. You can't believe in spirituality and not believe and understand paranormal. That's not possible. But people do it, but it's not real. What's real is that the energy exists, period, end of story, and you are going to feel it or not feel it by how much you choose to repress in your current existence. When you had that accident, it was as some people would call
It was an awakening.
there you go. That's the word. And and we don't have to have accidents or big traumatic experiences to have awakenings. But also, awakenings should be a moment in time that is then experienced and re experienced every day. It's not a moment and then it's gone. It's I had this energetic experience, and now I know that I can have that energetic experience every single day. What was happening for you was you were experiencing your skill set. You literally felt energy. Now, some people see it, some people feel it, some people hear it, some people do all of the above, right? Mm-hmm. You feel it. That's your skill set. That it's we're spiritual beings first, period, end of story, placed in a very dense body. But if we're spiritual beings first, we all have skill sets that experience energy. And when you place that skill set into a physical body, how is that skill set making its way out of the density of this physicality? Most repress it for millions and billions of reasons. And then all of us have awakenings similar to what you had, but in different forms. It's a matter of, are you listening? You hit all the key components of a true spiritual awakening. You found forgiveness. You weren't lingering in the why me and I can't believe they did this to me. You left the hospital and started a mass clearing emotionally, physically, spiritually, energetically. That's what this is, because that awakening was a moment in time and would have never come again had you not done all the work that you intuitively were led to do. So just because you have an awakening, A lot of people have those moments and go back to living their lives exactly the same way and nothing changes. But you said, I'm going to make changes. You couldn't do that. You started to make changes and then you started to see your life change because of it.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that, to add to the it'll probably be humorous on it. After I got pretty close to being done with the house will never be 100% done, but when I got to say about 90% done with the house, I went across the street where my dad lives and started working on his house.
Really? How did he respond to that?
Oh, he loved it.
Good.
I was able to create a lot more room. Because he had an accident of his own. Right after I was put into the hospital, he went into the hospital because he contracted COVID. And then after he got home, 2 weeks later, he fell and broke 5 ribs.
Oh, wow.
And in that year, he had shoulder replacement surgery. He had a pacemaker put in.
Wow.
So between my dad and I, 2022 was a year from hell, medically speaking.
Sure.
But for me, it was I enjoyed doing this, going through all this stuff here in the house and getting everything situated. And then I went over to Dad's house and did the same thing for him.
I think that's amazing that you had the wherewithal, the energy, the awareness to do that, helping your dad clear out his stuff so he could start healing too.
Well, I kind of had to, because with everything that had happened to me, because half of my face was smashed in. So I had to do what I could to try to build up that energy, build up that stamina for myself. So it wasn't just that I was doing this for him in a roundabout way. I was also doing it for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and there is nothing in life that we do that doesn't influence and affect us. Right. No matter what it is, whether it's a negative or positive act, it will always influence and affect us. Right. And I think that's important that we recognize it and take ownership of that.
That's correct. And I can just about imagine that you probably run across a lot of people that could go either way, like in my situation where you're at, because I know that you live in California, and I know that depending on which way you look at it, life in California can be great, but at the same time, life in California can be hell. Especially
if you what?
I heard something on your end.
That was a motorcycle.
Especially if you live like say in San Francisco, you're right there on the fault line where the earthquakes occur.
Oh yeah, we did have a lot of earthquakes. Yeah, we were in the middle of some big ones. I mean, yeah. But I also look at states that have like tornadoes. I'm like, I could never live in a state that had tornadoes or hurricanes. To me, I'm like, I'll take an earthquake any day over those.
Wow.
And while we're on it, I would never live in a state like Florida that has alligators. So I'll take earthquakes over alligators anytime. I think it is the weirdest thing that alligators just roam randomly. I don't get it. I could never. And I worked this job once, and some of the other staff were talking about how like, oh, I couldn't get into my house because there was this alligator in front. So we had to do this. And I was just like, who lives like that? Like never in a million years. So yeah, I'll take earthquakes over alligators.
Very populous state.
I know, but I still, and sometimes I get stuck in that rabbit hole on TikTok of like alligator videos just because I'm so like, how are these people living with an alligator? Anyway, I don't know how we got on alligators, but yeah.
It's funny that you would mention that, because I just saw either yesterday or 2 days ago on TikTok, somebody had a video of an alligator crawling over a fence.
That's the one I'm talking about. That's the one I'm talking about. I
didn't know that was possible.
I know, and how they're already creepy as, and now it's climbing over a fence. Like, no, I'm sorry.
They're evolving.
They are evolving, and they're already like massive creatures. It's just like, I can't with those. So I will take earthquakes over alligators.
Well, I used to live in Florida when I was a kid. I was right there on the East Coast, probably 1 mile away from the beach.
And how many alligators did you see?
None that I can recall, unless I went to Gatorland.
Is Gatorland a place where there's lots of alligators?
Yeah, it's sort of like the Florida version of SeaWorld.
Oh, sounds scary as hell. Yeah.
It was the first time I went there. I'll tell you.
You know, I'll take an alien abduction over an alligator in front of me.
Honestly, the way that this world is going, I think anybody would take an alien.
That's a very valid point. And I was also going to say I actually shouldn't say that. I should not, like, my final words, right? I'll be like, just kidding. I didn't really mean that.
Yeah, but you know, when you really think about it, and Greg's joined us.
What? That's my Greggy. I have someone to be mean to. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Mouse, you can't pick on me anymore.
I know. Greg, you came on when we were talking about alligators. I'll explain it on the show next Thursday. So you can have something to roll your eyes at.
But when you really think about it, with the state of the world right now, it would almost be a blessing to be somewhere else, anywhere else.
Oh, well, ask and you shall receive, right? Be careful what we ask for.
I think a lot of people have been asking for the last 50 years.
Well, aliens are among us. So if you want to chat with them, go ahead. They're there. That's what, you know, if without taking it too harsh of a left turn, I mean, that's kind of my approach that is my approach, especially because I get asked a lot about conspiracy theories and such. And I'm like, we don't need to read conspiracy theories. Just if you want to communicate with aliens, communicate with aliens. Like, get the information yourself. You don't have to rely on stories and wondering if these stories are accurate or not. Like, if you want to know about aliens, talk to them. Learn how to communicate with them. You communicate with them the exact same way you listen to your intuition or anything else. But
I have a very firm belief that every living being that is on this planet really is an alien. That I believe that we have been transplanted here from somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, yes, like, think about it. There's another planet out there that views us as aliens, right? So we are alien to others already, right? And I think there's definitely people like myself and like others who remember living on other planets. And so, you know, I know I'm not a transplant, or what did you call me? An implant? A transplant?
I think that we are all transplant as a society, because when you look at the humans here, and then you start looking at some of the animal species, especially those that are deep underwater, it makes me wonder, how did we all came from the same DNA when everything started evolving to what it is today?
Well, what does your intuition tell you about that? Not what you've read, not your logic, but what does your intuition tell you about that?
I think that we came from a planet that was probably doomed, either due to like a dying star, which is actually sort of like what I'm writing right now, about a dying star that happens in the future. And they had to figure out a way how to get a DNA seed ship from there to somewhere else that had the capability of supporting life.
Yeah. We live on a very low vibration planet. So that's, yeah, I mean, if you're using your intuition because here's the deal is no one has an answer to that. No one can tell you that's right or wrong. But
No.
if you're utilizing your intuition and you're receiving information from your higher consciousness, there's a knowingness that comes with your information that isn't something like logically putting pieces together. It's a knowing, and when we all choose to live in that knowing and that connection to our higher consciousness, we all align. It's not I believe you believe, it's we all align because we're all listening to the same one source, and that one source, the name is irrelevant, right? But we're all connected to it and listening to it. And now all of a sudden we're all aligning together.
Yep. I actually have a friend who is in the paranormal field, Philip Gibson. He lives just a couple hours away from me. He feels like we came from somewhere else as well. In fact, he's actually narrowed it down to the Pleiades. That when he looks there, he feels like he's looking at home.
Yeah. So most people, so we all go through incarnations, starting from plant to even down to mineral, plant, animal, working our way up and through. But we've also been through so many incarnations on so many different life forms. We all have. And so when you can associate with a certain life form, that your friend did come from that planet, right? I associate with other life forms. I know that I remember that lifetime, whether that lifetime came before or after where I'm currently at. That might be a future lifetime I'm feeling. It might be a future lifetime your friend is feeling with the Pleiadians. So understanding that we have all come from so many different life forms and different planets. It's just some of us connect with it quicker and clearer than others, but everyone can. So we've all come from so many different planets that, yes, I don't think we can say that every human specific comes from one space. We all come from different planets that are from the future, that are from the past, and that were human for many lifetimes also. To think that we were only one way or one species is kind of silly.
I agree. And when it comes to reincarnations, I can tell you that from an early age, I have always felt like I'm old.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have always felt like I'm old, because when I'm together with any kind of group, I always feel like I'm the mature one.
Hope your friends aren't listening.
They know. They know I have always been the calm and steady one, and they understand that. But there are some times where, okay, yeah, cut loose here and there. But more times than not, I always feel like no matter what age everybody is, like I'm always the adult in the room.
I get that.
Yeah.
That's a really great awareness to have.
Yeah, and I had that since, well, I remember feeling that back when I was in high school.
Interesting. So your whole life you have had these intuitive experiences and nudges. You've always carried it, and you're just sharing all these moments now that you've had. And then they all came together in this moment of when you had the accident. It all just came together and was like, okay,
well,
this
actually,
is your skill set.
Even before then, I always had a sense of knowing something without without having the business of knowing it. That's always been like that for as long as I can remember. But as far as like energy transference, and then the sudden feeling of changing everything in my life all stemmed from the accident. But as far as having like a strong intuition and being able to know answers to things that I should have no business knowing, it's been like that for years, many years. Yeah.
So you've always been utilizing your skill set, and then after the accident, the skill set just became louder and clearer.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an example. Here, let me close. I'm just going to close my door really quick. But that's an example of me saying how that's why I don't like using the word gift. Instead, I use the word skill set because it lets everybody know I don't have something unique. What I'm doing is not unique. Everybody has a skill set. What's yours? Go find it. And if you don't know how to find it, reach out to me, you know?
And in a lot of cases, it's some people are more stronger with what they've got than other people are.
It's some people are tasked with being aware of it in this lifetime. And some people have chosen to not be as aware in this lifetime. But it inevitably lives in everybody.
I've been slowly but surely coming to grasp of accepting that. Like Adrian, who is on my Thursday night show, Greg knows. You should know her, Adrian.
Probably.
Okay, well, I know Greg knows her. She had been telling me the same thing, that you have this ability, you just don't really know it. But yet there are in some cases where you just automatically use it, like it's second nature to you. And she's right. She's absolutely right. Officially, we only have 10 minutes left on the show. This has gone by really, really fast.
Yeah, that was fun.
I wanted to touch on a lot of things tonight. I'm going to have to bring you back onto the show so that we can talk about these things, because I wanted to talk about your involvement with unsolved cases.
Unexplained cases?
Unexplained cases, yes. I know that you did 2 versions of that for a couple of years, and what I really want to talk about is Myth or Mystery. Because a couple of years ago, we had been wanting to have a game show on the network, but we just didn't know how to go about creating one, because how do you really do that? And then all of a sudden, Greg, if he's still watching, calls me up and say, "Hey, can you be our guinea pig?" That was exactly what he said. He wanted me to be your guys' guinea pig. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. And so how did you guys, who came up with the initial idea, and how did you guys develop
it? It was me. It just came to me intuitively. A big reason for it was I really wanted to do something that was fun, because my work can be so intense. And I'm just, for those that know me, like I have this whole other side of me that's just not intense. And I can't and don't want to live my life just with this intensity of psychic, spiritual stuff. I want to have fun and laugh and make people laugh, right? With the work. And then intuitively, this idea just started coming to me. And I reached out to Harlow, and I was like, and Harlow's a very logical, she's a great she's the opposite of me, even though she's deeply intuitive. And which is why it's perfect, because she's kind of that like bumper where I'm like, I want to do blah, 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 blah. And she's just like, oh my God. Because I'm always really big with my ideas. And I also, for me, when it comes to ideas, I have to do it and then go, that didn't work. I can plan it to a certain degree, but I have to see it and do it and then change it. And so the idea started, as you know, with an actual contestant, which we will be revisiting that again soon. But we needed to get the structure down of the show. And so the contestant was too much to produce in the beginning. And so that's where we removed the contestant aspect and then just started. It was just in the last month, I would say, we really started to find our groove with it and how we want it to look and feel. But ultimately it's been, my baby, and Harlow's just been every step of the way listening to my big ideas and formulating something and creating the artwork and, all of that every step of the way. She's just been there from the moment of conception. And
it's basically been more like your producers because you get the ideas that she's trying to help you.
She's absolutely produced it with me, 100%. She's a producer. She's the researcher. She's a narrator. Yeah, she's absolutely a producer with me on it. All kinds of things, right? And then I called Greg. I had just done Greg's show. I didn't know Greg prior because, again, I'm not really in the paranormal community. I mean, I would do the shows with Unexplained Cases, but I wasn't in that world. I've always been a little on the outskirts of all of it, but I had just done Greg's show and I thought, I wonder if Greg would want to try this with me.
Probably the best place to be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I try to not get into any type of group too deeply, but
well, it's not just that, but all the drama and the bullshit that happens.
I mean, but that's in any group. Anytime you get a group of humans together over any topic on anything on the planet, you're going to get that.
Yeah, that is true.
And so then I was like, with Greg, I just said the same thing to him. I said, I'm just going to start throwing stuff at the wall. And that's just how I work. Like, because I feel like you can only plan so far. And if you get stuck in planning, you're procrastinating and then you become fearful and then nothing ever happens. And so I just started throwing the ideas out there and saying, let's try it. And here we are. So I think the show's growing and going to continue to grow. We have a really fascinating special edition next Thursday, Haunted Hospitals edition with Nurse Meg. She's got almost 1 million followers on TikTok. She's got some incredible, true haunted hospital stories. We have a photo that a friend submitted to her that we're going to read. And so yeah, it's just really found its legs. But that was an example of just allowing my intuition to guide me to where I was supposed to go next and what I was supposed to do next. And that's what I was led to.
And how did Ryan come into the mix?
Ryan came in through Greg.
Okay.
And that we were really like, that was probably the hardest. That person, that position, we're still developing even because Ryan's been so great about like expanding it because the truth is what we didn't realize is people wait with bated breath for what Ryan's going to say. And it's really turned it into a really fun experience because everyone wants to know what Ryan's going to say. Are we going to love or hate Ryan tonight? And is he going to crap all over us or is he going to, which he does, which is that was the whole point of that position. Like when I talked to Greg, I was like, the whole point of the video analyst was to be as extreme as possible from anything intuitive because the logic and the intuition are both equally important, right? Mm-hmm. But the humans tend to have logic lead everything. Intuition should lead and logic should blend in, right? And so with the show, that's what we're not there yet, but I'm really trying to keep honing the show into a more teachable moment of utilizing those two. And I think once I get to a point where I can have someone produce on the back end and I'm not producing internally, either during live or even in pre-production, I think I can start to mold it more, and everyone will have more freedom to help mold the show more. So there's this deeper contrast and blending that takes place, because there's been a lot of great moments where Ryan is called mystery and I've called mystery and Greg's called mystery, meaning it is paranormal, this video or photo that we're looking at, and to have the logic align.
Mystery that Ryan had, and that was my video.
Oh, yeah, exactly, right? And I think to have the logic blend with the intuition and align with the intuition, I want to be able to really align that even deeper in that moment on the show. And that's my goal on how we're going to continue to enhance it and grow it, is to really get it, to clarify that, and to get the people in the audience to really use their intuition when they're looking at these things, you know?
Well, and another important thing that you have on the show is the chemistry that the three of you have.
Happy accident, yeah.
Yeah, if the three of you did not have chemistry, that show would not work at all.
That's a good point. Yeah, that was a happy accident for sure. Like, so what tipped us off was when I did Greg's show. I did it, like I said, a couple weeks before creating this show, which was maybe 5 months ago or something. And me and Greg were very professional on his show. The whole thing was very professional. And then Linda Judd asks me this question, which I don't know if anyone saw it, but she asked me this question about, it was just this question that led us to a conversation about, it just turned funny. Like the whole thing just turned silly and ridiculous. And me and Greg were just laughing at, not at Linda, but with Linda, because she asked this silly question and she was serious, but it came out and it sounded so funny. And the three of us were just having a blast with this and laughing. And when I got off his show, I was like, I have to do a show where I can just laugh and we can have fun, because my work is so intense that I just don't want my life to be that intense all the time. So
that release.
Yeah. And I want the world to be able to laugh at themselves, at intuition, at paranormal. I want us to be able to laugh at it, and have fun with it. And so that's where that, like, after that night, and I used to have that with the guys on Unexplained Cases. We would laugh a lot and have a lot of fun. And I missed that.
Yeah, I remember, because I was on there with you guys a couple of times.
Yes.
And we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I missed that. And so after that show with Greg, that I put in my meditation, where I was like, I need to have that back. I want that back. I want that joy back. And I didn't know if the four of us could do that. And then we did. And then it's always, now we have a blast teasing Harlow all the time, because Harlow's super serious. Like, she's very serious, and her job is hard because she's doing so much behind the scenes. And then, me, I'm going off over here, and she's like, Maryam, I like in the private chat, I need this or I need that, and I'm just over here talking about alligators, right? And she's just like,
I can relate so much to Harlow on that, because that's almost describing me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, well, you were mentioning about how thorough or organized I was earlier today. That's how I am. I try to have organization in everything that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to plan some things out. Some things I do on the fly, but otherwise I try to be as organized as possible.
Right.
So I have to relate to Harlow on that.
Yeah, Harlow's she's very good at that. And so is Ryan, like her and Ryan. Yeah. And so anyway, yes, thank you. I appreciate your support of the show. I appreciate you sharing the show out and talking about it. And because we really want to keep building on it.
It's one of those things where, yeah, I believe in what people do, but for that particular show, it's so unique, and
Mm-hmm.
it is absolutely something that I have been wanting
Mm.
for a long time. And now here it is. It's like, how can I not support this?
Thank you. Yeah.
So that's why I was like, hey, bring the show to the network. Get it on.
And now you are our stand-in host whenever anyone is gone, panel expert. So that's nice that we have you there. And yeah, and now Harlow's watching, so I know she's going. Please don't say it, Maryam. But I really, you planted a seed in me where I want to bring back that contestant. I think Harlow's computer just exploded hearing me say that, but I really do. Not now, but soon. Oh, we just launched our website, mythormysterylive.com, and we're going to be running a really fun contest where you can win one of these. Hold on. These are great. They're big and they're sturdy, and we'll let you know when that's ready. We're still working on it, but Harlow's going to put something together really fun.
Put that into all the different pages.
Thank
so
you.
That people can be able to click on it and go check everything out. Do you have like an archive of old shows on this website, or will that only be on the pages that you stream to?
That's on YouTube and on your page. Yeah, you save them all.
Yeah, I every show that is on the network, I download it from there and I put it onto the Things Network YouTube page as well.
Oh, okay. So yeah, but it's on our YouTube page and our link is on there too, so you can find. And it's all set up on a playlist, so you can watch one after the other.
Yeah, it is probably one of the most refreshing shows that I've seen in a long time, because every other show that we have is just more of the same thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
And then a couple of years ago, a couple of my partners on the 13th Dimension, they decided to do a paranormal review show, which is very much like what you're doing, but without the game show portion. It's just looking over it and then trying to explain, okay, is this really paranormal? Is it not? But that was really all that it was. You added that, that fun. Well, I don't want to say that theirs wasn't fun. You just had that.
And the audience participation, maybe?
You got the audience participation, the voting thing. Well, we don't have a way to do votes on StreamYard or Facebook. You have to do that on YouTube. And then it's a matter of each of you having your own opinion, where it was just those two. And they were all on the same screen. They live together. So they're going to have their own screen. So, and, with the medium part of yours, and then Greg with the paranormal investigation part, and then Ryan with the crapping on everything part. So
and Ryan's role, it's to crap on everything, not to be smart and logical, but it's crapping on everything part. Yes, that really adds to it.
Well, here's the thing with what Ryan does is that he's actually backing up everything that he's talking about. He is showing
totally
all of this stuff. And I think that's why a lot of people are really gravitating towards what
Ryan says.
Yeah, because he is actually showing us the evidence and where he's looking, and he goes even further than what I ever thought about doing. Uh-oh. You still there?
What? Yeah.
Oh, well, your screen just blanked out for some reason.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Yeah, we're fine. So, because I enjoy going over video and doing reviews on video, and he had shown me a whole new way of being able to do that. So I implemented that on my own thing. which is what I tried to do when I was filling in for him that one week.
Yeah, that was great. It
I
was
was
great.
able to do it in depth, but I think I got my point across.
Oh yeah,
in the show.
absolutely, absolutely. It was great. It was perfect. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
So Myth and Mystery, I think, is probably the best thing that's happened in a while.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
So that's why you guys completely got my support on this thing. And plus I just love it when you guys are crapping on me and I'm in the audience.
Oh my god, it's so fun. You probably miss well you miss there's a couple times where I think we were crapping on you before you were even on the show, and then you were in the comments, you're like, oh hey guys, and we're like, oh, we were just talking shit about you.
I know. I remember one time that I came in and you said that your mother had been asking about
Oh
me.
yeah. Oh, that so I was like, because my mom, it was like in the middle of the day, like the show was Thursday night, and then I think it was like a Saturday or Sunday or something, right? Because usually, like, my mom will text me that night, or I'll text my mom, or then maybe the next morning, and she'll be like, oh, I want to talk to you about that video, right, or whatever. And there was just out of the blue, and she was like, I get this text, where was Jeremy? And I'm like, who's Jeremy? Like, where is this? There's no context. And the timing was so much later that I was like, I couldn't put the pieces together. And then I was like, I talked to her and I was like, and she was from the show. And I'm like, because you weren't, it was like one night you weren't in the comments or something. And I was like, I don't know. And keep in mind, my mom is freaking brilliant and amazing. And she really doesn't say random stuff like this. So when it was just very random of my mom. And I was like, I don't know where Jeremy was, but she's like, oh, I just love hearing what he has to say in his because he always says the same thing Ryan is or whatever. And so then we started talking about it, and then I don't know, it just led to someone saying, oh, your mom, we call Nana of Myth and Mystery. Nana must have a crush on Jeremy. And then it was like, then I said your name. I was like, yeah, Jeremy and Jeremy. I said your name like 3 times, and all of a sudden you showed up in the comments. And then that's when I was like, oh my God, is he in the house? Is Jeremy here? Like, what's happening? It just turned into this whole thing. It was so funny.
I know there was a couple times that I wasn't able to watch the show. And usually that's because either I have to go to bed early because I got to get up the next day. Because when you guys are on, it's already 10 o'clock for me.
Oh yeah, it's late. Yeah.
And then I know there was another time that I wasn't able to get on because after I had done my own show, I got pulled into one of those after show meetings.
After the after show, yes.
We didn't get off until after the end of Greg's show after yours.
Oh God.
Which is why I'm like, I am so glad to have your show after mine so that I can end it.
End it, right? You have an excuse, a reason now.
Yeah, and I tell them that all the time.
Sorry, guys.
I'm not. Yeah, I just find it funny, and I remember how Greg, the way that he would react on some of those times that I would have that first answer.
Totally.
And,
he's so funny.
I am sitting here, I am crying because it's funny.
It's so funny. Yeah. And honestly, I don't know if the guy's serious or kidding. I genuinely don't even know. He's just so funny. He reminds me of Jeremy. I don't know if you ever watched Saturday Night Live back when Will Ferrell was on there. And they would, if anyone out there watches it, there was this skit that Will Ferrell did, and he would be Alex Trebek on Jeopardy. Oh, and Greg reminds me so much of him because the contestants would drive him nuts with their answers. And Will Ferrell, it was just so funny. And Greg I don't know if the guy's joking or not, but it's hysterical either way because he gets so frustrated when everyone's giving like the wrong answers. And then you come in and we're like, no, Jeremy, get out of here. We need someone else. Good times.
I,
Anyway.
I remember one of those weeks I didn't answer because I was already in Scully
Oh,
and
right.
nobody was answering. And Greg said something about me that I must not know. And no, I know the answer. I, I'm already in there. And finally, everybody gave up. And okay, here's the answer. And I think it had to do something with a Stephen King or no, it was Scooby Doo, the voice of Scooby Doo.
Oh, and that's funny because last night I made reference to that. Remember, Harlow's question was so hard, and then I was like, dude, compared to Greg's Scooby Doo questions, I mean, come on, give the audience some credit here.
Harlow's question sounded hard.
It did sound hard, but it really wasn't, right?
It was an easy answer.
It did sound hard. She made it sound super smart for a second there.
Oh, yeah, when you throw in 20 big words.
She's a writer. It's not her fault. She's smart.
So there we go. That's another reason why I can relate to Harlow.
That's right. Yes.
She's released a couple books. See, I haven't released anything of mine yet. But I can relate to that. You're always trying to find different things to do. But I try to make it simple for me. Mm-hmm. Okay, we are a quarter after. So actually, we do not have a show on. So we can keep going on if you want to.
I can do 15 more minutes if you want.
All right, let's do that. Let's do 15 more minutes at 9:30. So it'll be, what time? Your
6:30.
So 6:30 your time. We'll keep going until 6:30, and then we'll call it a day.
Sounds good to me. I'm ready. Go ahead.
So going back to unexplained cases. Mm-hmm. How did that come to be?
Rick reached out through Instagram and was looking for a psychic for he was putting something together. And that was really, like, I've always worked on helping people with energy and aliens and stuff like that, but he was my first step into like the paranormal community or the paranormal world, where my work was really specifically driven and focused on that. And he just asked me to help him out. Like he needed a medium for something he was working on. And then we just hit it off. And I'm an idea person. And so when I find people I really like, I'll start like, so why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Like, why don't we make this do more with this, And I just really loved those guys and we just started coming up with ideas. Rick, really, I mean, that's all Rick. And all that producing was Rick. And, Rick was the mind behind all of that. And so, yeah, that's just how it started.
I remember not too long ago, Darren was in the hospital for something.
I know, but he's good now. He's really good.
That is good. So with unexplained cases, you guys did unexplained cases live, and then you did unexplained cases medium.
Yeah, so
like a spin-off show. Mm-hmm. But it didn't seem like the format was very different, except I don't think Darren was a part of the medium show, if I remember right.
Right. Darren wasn't a part of that. It was just, and we didn't go to locations. We were talking to clients and viewers who needed help with certain areas. We would bring people on and I would help them with certain whatever issues they were having. I would do collective tarot card readings. I would do guided meditations. But then, like the last part of the show, we would have a case of someone who's having, whether they felt like they were having alien experiences or whatever that was.
Okay. Because I always remember enjoying all the different backgrounds that you had behind you. Because you always seem to have like a psychedelic theme going on back there. And that, to me, that was like an attraction for the show. Because, okay, what kind of backgrounds are you going to have this week?
That's cool. Oh, I had no idea. That's really neat. I have so many of those. I have like a huge container of them.
I believe it.
But I got some good ones. I got some good ones for sure. But it's so much work getting those tapestries set up. That's why I was like, with Myth or Mystery, I've just got the one and we're good.
the virtual background.
No, mine isn't virtual. Mine's an actual tapestry.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Oh boy, that cost a couple $100.
It actually wasn't. It was only $30, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it was super cheap.
Well, I've been doing my shopping at the wrong place because I got big 8x8s for Things Network and 13th Dimension and just plain things, and they're all on a banner stand, and they cost about $200 a piece.
So I have this.
The banner itself was like $70, I think, and then the stand was $130.
Oh, okay. So now, first off, I could be lying. It could be more than $30, but it was definitely under. Like I don't think it was more than $50, but it was. I have a stand that I have a separate. Like you need to buy a separate stand so that any tapestry you can hook it up to it. So you're not buying the stand with the tapestry. You just have a stand and you attach the tapestry to that one stand.
Yeah, that's what I did. And because I like to put all three of them up together when I'm doing conventions, I have to have a stand for each of them.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's a little bit of coin for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So then after a while, it just seemed like unexplained cases just went away.
We were, it was, I think it had run its course. And we had done so many locations. And then we were just like, we either need to revamp this or it's getting kind of burnt out. Like I just felt like we had kind of hit a wall with it. And even though we were having a blast, we needed to refresh it somehow. We just, with everyone's lives, it got too busy and we just weren't able to do it, So,
and then Darren had his health situation.
Yeah.
I remember Rick telling me he was in the hospital for a while.
He was, but he's good now. He's really good now. So I'm really happy that he came. Obviously that worked out. But I still talk to Rick. I talk to those guys. I love him. Rick's a great friend.
Good. Maybe you guys can come up with something else. And
I know. I would love to. I love working with them.
Bring it over here and let's put on a show.
Yeah.
And hopefully that doesn't happen with Myth or Mystery, because game shows, they have a tendency to run a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a matter of keeping it fresh, right? And so just being able to feel out what the audience is liking, not liking, make changes accordingly, and just keeping it fresh, Well,
maybe what you can do is do like a suggestion box for the audience. Hey, what would you like to see? Do you like what we're doing now? Do you think we need to change something, or do you think we need to add something? And
that's what I'm building over on YouTube. We really utilize that community page and run a lot of polls over there. We're going to start running some contests over there, but I want to try and build that community page on YouTube so we can start asking those questions, because we already run. Because we run so many polls during the show. I don't know if we should run another poll but maybe we could do it at the very end of the show. Just leave the poll up, let people know, go, we're signing off, but go, answer these questions at the poll. We could do something like that, actually.
As much as I'm on YouTube, I only just discovered that community tab just yesterday.
I know.
Yeah.
Most people don't know about it, but it's it's really great. You can do so much over there. I really love it.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to start utilizing that for the network page because we have 150 subscribers there,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to build more.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost kind of makes me sad thinking that holy cow, we don't have very many subscribers over there. We have 2,300. No, we have over 3,000 followers on the Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
and I know eventually Facebook is going to go down.
Oh, it
Event-
is?
It I just have that feeling it is going to go
Int-
down much in the way like MySpace did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and with the things that's been going on Facebook these last couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
it's not looking good.
Mm. So you want to bring everyone over to YouTube?
Either YouTube, well, for the network, I have us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to build a Rumble page now,
Mm-hmm.
and right now I have to have 5 followers just to be able to go live there, and I only got 3.
You'll get there.
Yeah,
I believe in you.
but I'm trying to utilize other platforms because I really believe that Facebook is going to go down at some point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
I'm with you on that, but
with all the things that's been happening on
I
Facebook, and
know. I know.
I don't see how people are going to continue on with it.
I know. Yeah, I agree.
So, okay, well, we are almost at half past the hour, so I guess we're going to go ahead and call it a night. I had so much fun.
So did I.
I definitely want to bring you back onto the show
Of
sometime.
course.
Um, and
Always.
maybe this time we can talk about nothing but aliens or.
Yes. That would be fun. I love talking
I
about
see
them.
that sparkle. I see that sparkle. So we'll do an alien show sometime. Uh,
Yeah.
can, can,
And maybe you could bring on a friend or someone, or that friend you said that has the connection to the Palladians or someone else, and we could all share stories and talk to aliens.
do like a roundtable discussion.
Hmm.
I like that idea.
And maybe I could even channel some information. They could bring some questions and stuff, you know?
Okay, that does bring me a question. So you're able to tap into things and be able to communicate from the other side. Are you able to do that with aliens,
Oh, absolutely. I love doing that with them. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
even from a vast distance?
Hmm.
Okay, always been curious as to how that works.
I mean, it's no different than if I talk to someone who's passed over, right? It's the same thing. It's just energy. It's there. The everyone is everywhere always. Like energy is everywhere always. Like it doesn't matter if someone's not physically on this planet or in this space or in this room. The way I access an alien group is no different than how I access someone who's passed over. It might feel different, but it's just like accessing a dark energy or clearing a demonic energy or all of that stuff. It's all energy. It's all, I don't like dumbing it down to saying it's all energy, but it's just different forms.
I guess that if somebody dies on another planet, it's pretty much the same rules as when somebody dies on this planet.
Yeah, and there's only one universe. I mean, that's not true. There's many universes, but we all lift to the same space, right? The soul, whether your soul is an alien soul or a human soul or an animal soul or a plant soul or a mineral, we all lift to the same place. And we all ultimately live in alignment with each other. It's when we all enter a body that shit gets crazy.
Oh, you ain't kidding there.
But yeah, so let's do that.
So before we wrap up, I'm gonna have you advertise yourself. We did not talk about the show that you and Harlow do.
Oh, the podcast. Yes.
Yeah. So where do people find that one?
True Crime Psychic Guy is on my YouTube page. My YouTube page is my name, Maryam Faresh. It's also at Myth or Mystery Live. And on True Crime Psychic Guy, Harlow finds some really high profile cases, at least 10 years old, and then brings questions, these cases that are unsolved and cold cases, right? And true crime cases. And then asks me questions, and I help, if I can channel to get the insight. Like we did the flight, what was it? No, I can't remember that
Malaysian flight.
Yeah, Malaysia flight.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually saw a YouTube special on that one where they're trying to figure out what happened.
Right. So I got some answers on that one. I got answers on the Velisca family murders. That one was super easy as far as like getting information on that and who did what. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Colony? Did you ever do Roanoke Colony?
Mm-mm.
That's the one I've always been interested in.
Interesting. I'll ask Harlow. Maybe we'll do that one next.
Yeah. You are aware of that, right?
Well, I'm not, but don't give me any information, because we do cases that I don't have any information on, that I'm not familiar with, that it doesn't, corrupt my intuition.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll
ask her.
And if I do have to talk to anybody, I can talk to Harlow.
Yeah, and then next week on Myth or Mystery, remind Harlow. I'm sure she knows about it. Yeah, remind her.
All kinds of research of weird and strange things. I'm going to take a guess that she's probably aware of it.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything. There's very rarely a time when I come across something Harlow's not aware of.
Okay, and then people can also find Myth or Mystery on that same YouTube channel.
Myth or Mystery Live, at Myth or Mystery Live on YouTube. Yep.
Awesome. And anywhere else that people can find you personally?
I mean, that's my YouTube page, Maryam Faresh at Myth or Mystery Live. And so right now I'm just really building that YouTube page. So I have my spirituality work there. I have my tarot work there. I have my paranormal work there. Everything's there. I mean, I'm on Instagram and TikTok also, but really everything current and new is now on YouTube.
Probably a smart idea.
Yeah. Especially
with the Senate and the House trying to do all of this crap on TikTok now.
Right. So. Yep.
All right. Well, Maryam, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun having you on this show.
Thank you.
We'll definitely have you back on here.
Yeah.
Also, well, I don't know if we might be able to time it right, but maybe even get you onto Supernatural Talk, have you, Greg, and Ryan on. Mm-hmm. So next week, everybody, I have Terry Crozier on the show. He is the host of the NSPS TV podcast, which is on his own page on Fridays and Saturdays when he does have a show. So I was a recent guest on his, and now I'm going to have him on mine where I can drill his brain like he did mine. And for everybody out there in the audience, thank you so much for playing along, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night, everybody.